it does alter your outlook when you really, really have seen something yourself. And I have.
What I'm actually doing here, we haven't officially started the investigation yet, Derek hasn't arrived, but just because people are milling around and a few things and feelings have been reported in this cell and the cell next door, I thought I'd set up a trigger object now. So what I'm doing is drawing around the edge of the cross, exactly, so we can tell if it's moved even a few millimetres. If it does move, it will be paranormal. Now, we have had this and other things move in other locations, so we'll have to wait and see. I'll secure it up again so we can make sure no one's gone in.
Oh, no.
Very scientific way of securing the location, as you can see.
Derek Akora, our spiritualist medium, had found the jail, making our investigation team complete. Before our investigation, there was time to discuss our favourite subject, ghosts.
Do you actually think that they have a choice as to where they can actually haunt?
Yes, I do, Richard, because, you know, as we exercise this special thing that we call free will here, when we're in the physical body, it's no different when we're in the spirit body. So yes, without a doubt, we can pick and choose. But generally, in the choosing, it's generally to something and a place where we've had experience.
Can I ask you a question on what you've just said there, Derek? Because when you look at ghost stories, ghost tales, a lot of emphasis is put on ghosts not liking where they are. Why would they choose to be stuck in that limbo state?
Okay, well, to my understanding, you'll find a person, an individual, being stuck in an atmosphere. If they've passed away from the physical body in an unnatural way, the likelihood is 9 out of 10 they can be stuck in the atmosphere until, for a certain period of time, until they're actually, let's say, encouraged from a higher sphere by, if you wish, angelic beings to come along and show them that they now no longer should be in this atmosphere and to seek the light.
Why is it that ghosts seem to like to haunt graveyards? You'd think that they want to sort of go to a more pleasant place to haunt. Why stay where they were buried?
Well, I think it's actually a common misconception that ghosts haunt graveyards. I mean, if you look at the statistics of people who've reported ghost sightings in graveyards, they're very, very, very rare. There is an interesting folk tale to do with ghosts in graveyards, and that is that the first person who is interred in the graveyard haunts it and looks after the rest of the ghosts, and it's known as the graveyard guardian. And if you look back in English folk tales, there's hints at somebody being sacrificed when a new graveyard is created in order that the graveyard has its graveyard guardian. But if you look at the evidence, there's not many sightings of ghosts actually in graveyards.
And I'd like to add also that in the time that I've been doing my work with spirits, I've never known one spirit yet to have the inclination to go back to a place where possibly their bones have been buried, to a dark, damp, horrible place. Their first inclinations are, let's get back home where I had some fantastic experiences, where, you know, my family, my loved ones are, and I know that when I go in there, it's going to be brightness. If I go to the graveyard, I'll probably be the only one standing there, having a look at all the graves with no one else there but myself. So, no, I don't go with many spirits wanting to go back to graveyards.
Also, I suppose a graveyard is really an unfamiliar place because it's new to that, because they've only just been buried there. It's like you said, you know, to go back to where they lived is somewhere they know, which is familiar to them.
Yeah.
There's another point as well about graveyards. There's a lot of photographs taken of orbs in graveyards. Now, we don't know what these orb things are. We've caught them ourselves. We don't know what they are. But one theory is that in graveyards, natural earth gases are emitted from the ground, and that under certain conditions these can be seen as lights. They're often described as will-o'-the-wisp lights in certain folk traditions. And this might be something completely natural caused by decomposing bodies, which is being seen by the human eye. That may explain why people think they're seeing odd things in graveyards. It's nothing ghostly at all.
I've got a question. How come, if so many ghosts are seen, parapsychologists don't believe in them?
Well, that's an interesting question, Martin. And really, when people think they've seen a ghost or had a ghostly encounter, they're not looking at it rationally. They're accepting it being a ghost or being paranormal as an explanation, and it isn't. If they looked at it in an objective, analytical, scientific way, then they'll probably find that 9 times out of 10, what they've experienced isn't ghostly at all, and that's why I don't believe in ghosts. No one's actually been in here for just under an hour, and we've kept the area secure, so I know no one's been inside. We're just going to check to see if the trigger object has moved. Oh, it's moved! It's moved loads! Look! It's moved! Hey! It's moved 7-8 millimetres right out of the line. You can see it's completely moved. No one's been in here. It's been a controlled area as much as we can control it. That's interesting because normally with trigger objects they don't move. It has happened before. I particularly chose the cross for here because there is a connection to nuns and monks being heard here singing or chanting, and there is a nunnery very, very close to here, or there used to be. This area actually where the prison or the jail was originally built was known as Nuns Green. That was its original name, which is why we chose the cross. We thought it might be particularly interesting to people, and also because they are waiting for their sort of hour of death or time of death, day of death. A sort of symbol which would give them hope, like a cross would to somebody who believes in that faith or religion, would sort of instill more interest perhaps than other objects, so particularly relevant to here and its moves, its work. I would bet my sort of money on this that it won't be on tape, because we've already had some odd things happen with the camera in this cell this evening, so I will bet my money that there's nothing on the tape and that it will have happened after the tape finished.
Amazingly, we had caught the cross moving. Unfortunately, the camera was not set wide enough so we couldn't see all sides of the paper. All we know was that the cell was locked and no one could have entered the room. This can only be classed as poltergeist activity. The moving cross had made us all jumpy, but Derek wanted to go back to the same cell to see if he could communicate with anyone.
I'm picking up a great deal of, quite simply, mixed emotions in this cell. I feel as if I'm isolated and I'm singular, because this energy is take me back in a reflection of a life, you know, and I feel a male memory thought, and I feel as if, you know, I want to be you know, something round my neck as if, you know, like a hanging. Okay. But I've also, there's something else, there's another side to him, another side. And I feel it's like as if, for some reason, he's laughing about the other side of his nature. Because what he said in what I was getting in the residual, and even Sam butted in there and he said, you know, he was good with the money, he was a master forger. That alone could have got him incarcerated. But he got off with that. Now he's talking about the name Alice. His words, which is left in the residual, Sam is now opening that up for me, he said these words. No, she wasn't guilty. No, she wasn't guilty. David? What do you mean, Sam David? Yes. Say it again. David George. David George? David George. David, say it again, please. It's not very clear.
Is David George's spirit here?
No. No. He said that Alice, she must have been linked here. Yes. She didn't plot to kill him. She didn't plot to kill him. Who did she not plot to kill? David?
David what?
David Lloyd. David Lloyd George. David Lloyd, she was not guilty, but she was incarcerated. Take that off me. Don't do that to me. Now this is someone, actually this is not Sam, it's not the residual energy.
I feel sick.
Yes.
I feel sick.
Do you want to come out?
Do you want to come out a little bit?
Just a little bit?
Yes.
Do you understand what you're giving?
Yes.
Yeah.
And some people are not just happy with the idea of a person